So for step 18, attaching the propeller shaft. Well, you can see that the propeller shaft that we made in the last step is going to fit into the sides of the gearbox on the front and rear, and these pieces right here are going to hold everything together. So there's the 4 screws. Now the one thing we are going to have to do is grease both of those gears before we attach them. So there are 4 screws. We've got our propeller shaft that we just finished and those gear housing covers. So I'll set this up and we'll put this together. So I think for the purposes of what we're doing, I'm going to start with the rear. If you remember, the gear that's inside here, we greased up when it said when we were building this gearbox. On the front one, they never said grease it yet, so it's still dry. And I know we're going to need to put it on, but because this is already done, let's grease this one up and place it on. So if I grab our propeller shaft, we are now going to use the grease to grease it all on. Now the interesting thing is I can tell that I am definitely running out of grease. So I'm going to put that aside for a second. We're going to have to fold this up, squeeze as much as we can out of this. And I mean, I know we've got grease on the inner gear, but let's see how much we can actually get out of this one. What have we missed here? Let's do that. Okay, we got quite a bit on that one. So if we take our chassis, you can see that this is going to sit down there like that. And I mean, I've grabbed the rear one, but obviously in grabbing the rear one, the front is also going to fit in. So you can see that that plastic, the raised little gray plastic piece is fitting inside of there between the two. And the same thing applies on the front. So if we're dropping this in, that gray plastic ring needs to be on the inside, not on the outside. Okay, so now that they're both in, we need to now make sure that it stays in. So with this one being there, I wonder if I can, because the other side's dry, I'm just going to turn this and hold this down. And that way it's mixing with the gear that's inside there, but that feels right. It's moving nice and smooth. So if I hold this, we're going to grab our cover here. You can see how this is supposed to fit. It's going to fit like that. So this is going to fit over top, and then you've got one screw at the top here, and I'm going to tighten it down. Not all the way, I just want to make sure that it's sitting properly first. And then we'll grab the other screw and we'll sit it down there. So you can see it's just the 2 screws. So I'm just going to sit this on its side for a second. And I'm using my thumb to hold in the drive shaft. And I think I can do it now because that's pretty much held in place. So let's do it this way. Okay, that's solid. And we'll do one last bit here. And that's solid. So there is the rear end in place, and the drive shaft is just moving across. You can see I put the caution sticker in. You don't have to. For fun, I just decided to stick that on there. So on this side, you can see that the ring, the little plastic ring, is on the inside. The bearing's there. Everything's fine. It's running smooth. So now we've got to grease this up. Now between the two tubes of grease that we had left, let's see how much of this we can actually use, or whether we're going to have to move on to another tube. That's not too bad. A spare one that I've got. Now you can see that that's raised, so let's just try and smear as much of this around flat so it's not getting caught anywhere. Try and squeeze a bit more out of this. Yep. Can I do it one more time? This is really called trying to save every last bit of the grease. But it's all there. Everything's greased up. Okay, I'll just clean off my fingers here. So we just need to stick this piece on just like, whoops, turn it around, just like that. And we'll take the screw and screw it all down. And there we go. So there is our propeller shaft attached. So that means that step 18 is complete. So now we're going to move on to step 19 and start working on the rear arms.